Welcome to the Scunge Movie Podcast, number 1, where we try and figure out how to use Google Hangouts and talk about nonsense movies. My name is Iain Ropp, and John, would you like to jump in and introduce yourself?
Yeah, certainly. I'm the other half of the Scunge Movie Podcast, and my name is John Davis, and we have just sat through a very how can we describe it? A special movie.
It's a very special movie.
It was a movie which was particularly special to us.
I don't know why. And the movie was called Loch Ness Horror.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I think about it, it should be the Loch Ness Horror.
It's unlocked. I didn't say it was open, but I said it was unlocked. Never been locked against man or beast.
Well, I mean, the Scunge Movie Podcast is brand new tonight, so this is us literally just starting it. We haven't really advertised it. We haven't really even told anyone that we're doing it. So no one's going to be watching this live, I'm fairly confident. And but maybe...
If there's somebody listening to this, then well done.
Well, actually, I don't know, John, if you get because I started, because I'm kind of in control of the broadcast, I do get to see the number of viewers. I don't know if you get any kind of indication of that.
No, I've got
But I can actually see if anyone jumps on, and I'm sorry to report that currently we are on zero viewers.
If it were unlocked and you meant no harm, you'd only go by window. So if your business be peaceful, make your face known. Ah, George!
Jack Stewart, I want you to meet a new colleague of mine from the United States, Spencer Dean.
Oh, another Nessie watcher. Good God in heaven, don't you Americans ever give up?
Well, you never did.
You know, the young man's right, Jack.
I built a fire in the trophy room.
We should introduce what the Loch Ness Horror is. It was a movie which was released in 1981. It was written and directed by a man called Larry Buchanan.
I've just realised I totally missed an option to jump in with a joke and say it was made 1,400 years ago, which we really...
For 1,400 years.
1,400 years.
There are a lot of people who would exploit Nessie for what Americans call the fast buck. But for 1,400 years...
Well, I suppose I would leave her be and not let her mystery unravel for another 1,400 years.
It's got the dubious distinction of having the IMDb rating of 2.1 stars.
No, that's not actually... So the IMDb rating is at 10, right? Yeah.
Yeah, out of 10 it has 2.1, which is pretty low.
As you said, John, when we were watching it, not 5 minutes into the movie, you get a really long, drawn-out shot of this rubber kind of phallus.
And it is pretty clear it really cannot do that much. We got a nice effect where it's kind of like there's like smoke or something coming out of its mouth, and it does chew up a guy.
Well, hold on.
Later on, it does. You do get to see its mouth. It can chomp a bit with its mouth.
I don't know if I'd describe that as chewing up a guy. I think it's just its mouth is placed on a guy. Is a more kind of accurate description of what's actually going on the screen.
But I have to say, out of all of the characters that are presented in the film, it probably shows the biggest dynamic range in terms of the amount of emotion that it can actually present to the audience. Anybody who's interested in like any Americans who are there who are thinking about producing a film which is going to be set entirely in Scotland, but you're not going to, hire anybody who's Scottish, and it's not that hard to find us. You generally find us in Scotland, and we can be hired, to act in movies about Loch Ness. We don't have the kind of groundskeeper Willie type way of talking that most of the characters in this particular movie did.
Really did.
Well, top of the morning to you. I said top of the morning to you. Why didn't you answer me?
They say that in Ireland.
Would you settle for a salute?
I'd settle for a proper hello.
I don't think I'm sensitive. I'm not like bitter or kind of angry that people are trying it.
Actually, I just find it so entertaining.
Yeah, I enjoy it as well.
Because the guy's name's Buchanan. I wondered whether there wasn't some kind of personal connection with Scotland that the director had that made him choose to make this movie.
Maybe.
Because it did seem, it was very genuine. It wasn't a cynical movie. There was nothing cynical about it. It was quite kind of warm and lovely in a lot of ways, and kind of family. Even though it had dudes getting, their heads kind of chewed up by a big plastic monster, and innocent people did die in it. There was quite a scary scene with a man in a kilt.
That scene, which in the abridged version of this podcast, I'm sure you'll be cutting in. The scene from now. That scene was by far my favourite. The Mad Scotsman of, what was it, Killiecrankie Island?
Killiecrankie Island, yeah. And he had this backstory where he was in the Glencoe Guards, which I don't think that's a real regiment. But anyway,
it could be. I'm not sure.
Anyway, it was, the film wasn't really super accurate. But he lived on an island which had mysterious bagpipe music coming out of it, even though when two characters later on just, threw caution to the wind and, disregarded the legend of Killiecrankie Island.
And decided to go for a bit of a fumble
in
the ruins of the castle, which was definitely not a castle.
Yeah.
It was a shed.
There was no bagpipes to be seen, and something that did, I did find myself pondering was there was really very little vegetation and no animal life on that little outcrop of rock, and there was no form of transport for Mr. Mad Kilt Wearer to actually get to and from.
Well, there was. You're actually forgetting the communal yellow inflatable boat, which many different characters who never met across the course of the story used interchangeably.
Kathleen Stewart. The kind of love interest that Spencer Dean was bouncing off of with this really highly dynamic and charged scenes.
Also, just a little side note, the incomprehensible character, to me anyway, I think I only actually understood about 70% of her lines.
she was probably supposed to be from Germany or something, because that accent just didn't sound like it. I have no idea what it was. She just really chewed those lines. So I guess there was probably some backstory that they didn't tell you in the extensive exposition scenes.
Yeah, we need to see the director's commentary or something like that.
Exactly, yeah. She'd been raised in, like, you know, Germany or something, because her accent was just, it was just weird. It was just, yeah, it just didn't sound like anything. It was just...
Spencer Dean,
Yes?
we're worlds apart, you and I. Worlds apart. Me get on that monstrosity?
Be careful now.
What the English gentry called the cinema?
Yeah, it was possibly as bad as her fashion sense, but...
Oh, nice segue. Back into the fashion.
Back into the fashion, yeah.
I really don't have a whole lot to say about the fashion, but I can tell that you have a lot to say about it.
Well, you know, they were obviously trying to, portray a sense of it being Scotland however they could, and part of that was, yeah, it was excessive use of tartan, and like, but yeah, this character...
And rolling R's. Oh, but that's just a Scottish thing, that's not a fashion thing, yeah.
Kathleen Stewart had this bizarre combination of a gigantic belt that looked like something from a Barbarian movie, like a prop of like some kind of leather armor, and then she had these
Cowboy boots.
Yeah, she had giant cowboy boots, denims, and a shirt that just didn't really fit right, and then this kind of neck thing going on, and
yeah, as we said while we were watching it, she looked like a line dancer.
Yeah, it was a hideous ensemble. But she did, like, she switched up in the last, like, 10 minutes. She changed outfits twice.
They're trying to place that in the kind of order of what happened, why she got into that dress for that.
She just randomly put it on, and then she went upstairs and just randomly changed out of it again. However, because it was a family movie, the closest you got to nudity was you got to see her white sports socks that she was wearing underneath her cowboy boots. She was also kidnapped and held hostage at gunpoint.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that whole...
Yeah, which was, she displayed a really surprise and resilience, probably something to do with that, German upbringing, like being there was probably some kind of special operations training that she received when she was there, because she had gone like a few inches away from her face with this crazy bald man, kidnapped her and tied her up for no reason, and then she watched this guy get killed from 2 soldiers in a frenzied gun battle with Nessie, and she displayed absolutely no emotion throughout it, and I think that really...
Well, you're doing her a disservice, because actually there was ever so brief moments of emotion in the scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we've probably, for Scunge Movie Podcast number 1, we've probably spoken about the Loch Ness Horror for longer than anyone on this earth is going to be interested in. If you've reached this far in the podcast, if you're listening to we've got no viewers now, but if you're coming back through the catalogue of old podcasts and you've listened this far, I congratulate you. You're a better man or woman than I.
So Scunge is this stuff that is featured.
Scunge is the stuff.
Is this stuff which is featured quite heavily in the kids' cult TV show, The Trapdoor. That's where, I'm not sure if there's like an epistemology of the word scunge, if it's got some kind of heritage to it, but for me it was this show.
Yeah, I don't know if it had a life before Trapdoor, actually. That's an interesting point. It possibly does, but yeah, the reference here for our naming of this podcast definitely only goes as far as the show Trapdoor.
And I would say that it's a kind of a combination. To me, it sounds like a combination of scum and gunge So you've got gunge, which, you know, if you don't know what gunge is, then you should look it up. It's goo, basically. There's a kind of a goo stuff. Scummy goo, basically, we're talking about here. And you put it together and you have scum and gunge, and it becomes scunge. And I don't know, there's something, it just seems to be like a movie, you know, like we just talked about the Loch Ness Terror. The Loch Ness Horror. Oh, sorry. God, I'm going into the future here.
Maybe we might have maybe like a kind of, you know, a year down the line or something like that, we should revisit another Loch Ness, and it could be the Loch Ness Terror. I
think a year down the line we should revisit the Loch Ness Horror, actually. Like I said, from our special broadcast in a yellow dinghy on the
we should go to
Loch Ness.
We're not that far away. We could actually do it.
In a yellow dinghy, we have to get a yellow dinghy.
And you could wear Kathleen's, or whatever the hell her name is.
I could wear the cowboy boots.
You could wear cowboy boots, an ill-fitting shirt, and a rather large belt.
Wear a kilt.
I will happily wear a kilt.
You have to wear a kilt, and you have to say 1400 years.
It's a date.
When I was at a party and I.
New evidence on the existence of a population of large animals in Loch Ness remove the stigma of crackpot from any scientist or group of scientists who wish to investigate the biological phenomena of Loch Ness.